Hey, welcome back to the Steep. This is a subscriber request video. So today we'll be actually covering the Goodfet client. And thank you for the individual who actually wrote in and asked for a video on this. I much appreciate that. And please, if there is something anybody else wants, or even the individual who requested this video, please let me know. Happy to cover anything if it's in my purview. I will certainly tell you when I don't know stuff, but we'll figure it out together. So anyhow, let's talk about GoodFET, just for those of you who may not be as familiar with it. So GoodFET was a board that came out a little while ago, and by a little while ago, I want to say the early 2000s, actually, maybe a little bit after that. Um, and unfortunately, it is a JTAG adapter, right? It's used for a lot of logic analyzing, a lot of debugging, a lot of programming, and basically a lot of hacking. And it was at the time a very fantastic tool. Unfortunately, it's not sold anymore. So you can still get it from places like Vitrus Fab and some other folks who are kind of operating in that Bitcoin only space. They will fabricate these boards for you. But again, to be fair, there are plenty of alternatives out there, so you may want to look into that. That being said, the gentleman or lady or individual who requested this video had mentioned that they were having problems with the serial interface. And unfortunately, I took a look around and I realized I had given away my last Goodfet 42 device. So I do not have any hardware to actually test this with. That being said, I can get you up to the point where it should be working if you actually do have a Goodfet 42 device connected to your system. So really quickly, a couple things to note. I am on a Kali 2026.3 environment. I am running ARM64 architecture, so I haven't tested it elsewhere. So again, your mileage may vary. That being said, I recognize that you may not get everything you need from this video, so rest assured, I have ordered a GreatFET One from Adafruit. And again, that's Great Scott Gadgets who produces this. This should be here sometime, I want to say, in mid-August. So as soon as that comes in, I'll be happy to release another video that kind of walks through that process and hopefully get you hooked up. But again, let's go ahead and minimize this for now, and let's get into the nitty gritty of things. So really quickly, I wanted to cover a couple prerequisites. So if you're not familiar with it, the Goodfet client will require some dependencies. And the first, and this may be your individual hangup, I'm not so sure, right? But if you are running as a lower privileged account, you definitely need to make sure that lower privileged account is in the dial out group. Otherwise, you will not be able to take command or pass through that serial interface. So please bear that in mind. And that's especially true if you're on VMware or some type of virtual machine, VirtualBox, whatever. You will definitely have to have that individual account within that dial out group. So the syntax here for that command is just sudo usermod ag to add to the group. And then the group's name is dial out on a Debian/Kali system. The other thing worth noting, and I can't show you in this video without kind of screwing up the mouse cursor because I fixed VI and a few other things here, so the mouse doesn't play nice as well if I shift focus anymore. But within your virtual machine settings, if you do have that, you'll want to make sure that your USB settings actually are compatible with what you're passing through. So if you have a USB 1.0 device or 2.0 or 3.0 device, you want to make sure that that setting is configured within your virtual machine. So you do have seamless pass through in that regard. You can run a dmessage command to get the output. And actually, I forgot to pull that up in my history. So let's just quickly grab that. I didn't prepare that for you really quickly, and I probably should have. But let's take a look. All right, beautiful. It is this one. So, and for those of you who don't know this shortcut, you can simply bang or exclamation point and then the history number. So in this case, it will give you a dump of all of your USB devices and kind of the situation, the registration there. So for the individual who is connected their Goodfet device, you should expect to see it here within that output. So definitely good stuff to know. Now, the other dependencies have to do with the actual Python libraries that are required. So in this case, oh, I forgot to do that. Let me kill that. Sorry, I don't want to actually execute that command. I just want to show it. So please forgive me for getting ahead of myself. My mouth's getting ahead of my brain here. All right, so let me make that a little easier to read. So in this case, you want to make sure you have Python 3-USB, Python 3-serial, and obviously if you're going to be messing around with the actual Git package, which we'll show here in a moment, you're going to want to make sure you have Git and make. And make is actually going to create the symbolic links. We're going to use a make link to actually create that file structure. And what it will do is tear down things under user local bin and then copy over from wherever you've actually installed your Git and modified that file. So one other thing to note, and we'll see it here, and let me see if I can find the particular file here. Just give me a moment. I want to make sure I'm grabbing the right thing. Okay, that's the good command that we're going to run at a later date. Sorry, I'm kind of skipping ahead, folks, so bear with me. I just want to find that file that we're going to modify. All right, so here's the Git clone. When you're ready, you're going to want to download Travis Goodspeed's Git repository, and you can put it into your local directory structure. You know, that tilde is the home directory shortcut for your currently logged in user. And then in this case, just put it in the Goodfet directory. Now, obviously, if you don't have the Goodfet directory created already, you'll want to make dir -p that, or just make dir it, depending upon where you are in that process. And then lastly, the other thing that we're going to want to do is, because this is a Python 2 file, and we'll see this here momentarily, let me just VI this, right? Or actually, we'll just head this so you can see the top 10 lines. And the name of this file is goodfet.bsl in this case. So, and you'll see here that this came out in 2001, 2003, and then it was forked later on. What I don't have here, let me bump up that line count. Let's just do 30 really quickly, and let me Control L. Beautiful. All right, you'll see here it was later forked by Travis Goodspeed for use with the Goodfet JTAG programmer. So from that standpoint, it's old, right? It's old like me. Let's put it that way. All right. So anyhow, actually, I think I got it beat by a few years, but whatever. Long story longer here. Please bear in mind this was written in Python 2, so that's really going to be your other challenge, is getting this to work with Python 3, because unfortunately, support for Python 2.7 isn't what it used to be, and a lot of things don't work anymore. Debian and Kali made the decision to get rid of the 2 to 3 library that actually will convert Python 2 to Python 3 format. But the good news is AI is here, so please, I didn't do anything special when I modified this file. I simply uploaded that BSL file into Claude or Gemini or any of my favorite AI tools and said, hey, please go through this script and rewrite it in Python 3 lexicon syntax for me. So that was beautiful. That saved me a lot of headache. Otherwise, I'd be sitting there doing a lot of sed conversion. And I don't want to do that. I've got too many important things going on to worry about that. So if I needed to make a case for AI, there you go. That's a wonderful case. But anyhow, once you're ready at this juncture, the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to run that sudo make link command. So when you're in your directory structure, and I'm just going to show you what you can expect to see here, you're going to see everything. Now, from a standpoint of the BSL file, I had multiple versions because I was definitely testing so I could get comfortable with what's what. So you will not have all of this dated or archaic nomenclature here. The only thing you really should be seeing is Goodfet BSL. Now, when you convert it from Python 2 to Python 3, just bear in mind you might want to back up that Python 2 in case something happens and you have to revert, but totally up to you. Once you have that running, go ahead and just make sure that you chmod or change modification to this and add the executable bit so it's executable. From there, it's as simple as doing sudo make and then in this case link. And we'll run this again. Hopefully it doesn't kill everything for the demo. Knocking on wood, we'll trust that. But when it does, I type that in and you'll see here that it will tear things down, right? So here's you can't see me pointing at the screen, surprise, surprise, right? Old habits never die. but been in front of a classroom too long sometimes. But anyhow, you've got your minus F on the removal, right? So it's removing anything that was previously under user local bin Goodfet. Same thing, right? Face Dancer is just another version of, or another modification or enhancement to that Goodfet platform. So you have a bunch of different devices here, and that's what you're looking at in this large directory listing. So then it'll go ahead and create that. Now, at this juncture, we should be able to run our particular commands to actually get as far as we need to get here. So, and really quickly, you saw that Goodfet command already. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything else for you here. Let's just take a look at this. All right, beautiful. So this will run this particular command, printf, with the carriage return flag, as well as piped into Goodfet. That's going to allow us to see any types of error messages and whatnot. So when I actually do run that Goodfet command, and we'll do this by simply passing 922 back in, you'll see that it gets this far, and this is where I can take you to the individual who asked for this video. What you're seeing here is actually the tool working as it's intended to, or the client working as it's intended to. The errors that I'm getting now really pertain to the fact that I do not have any hardware passed at the moment. I don't have any hardware connected. So it can't grab the serial port, or it can't identify it. So if you are having problems with your serial port connection, and you've validated that the user mod is there and you're not running as a lower privilege user, or if you are, you've made modifications as a lower privilege user to add to that dial out group, the other thing you can look at is the -C port option. And in this case, I think I have one more command for you here, but yeah, really what that's going to look like is just your TTY for your USB. So let me grab a quick TTY here. And or actually, let's just grab a USB. Hopefully this doesn't give me a bunch of stuff. All right. Yeah, that looks ugly. All right, that's not what I was looking for. So let's go ahead and clear that. But anyhow, when you pass this in, let me see if I can find it here really quickly. When you pass this in within your particular context, there we go. It will actually try to grab that particular device. So if you have it set to TTY USB 0, then it's going to go after that. So that may be the other option that you try to see if you can get it to lock in on that particular hardware address. So in this case, same error message, right? But at least you can see consistency. And it's simply because I don't have anything connected. But when you do, you won't see the stack trace, right? You will actually get more detail that looks a little bit more uniform in what you're expecting to see. So anyhow, good luck to you. Please let me know if that does or doesn't fix your issue, and I'll try my absolute damnedest to see if I can help you with it further. But again, my apologies. It really does look like I gave away that last Goodfet 42 device. I'm kind of kicking myself now, but those are kind of popular at DEF CON one year. So I was selling them off the table, the ones that we did have. In fact, I know there was a gentleman overseas from, I think, Singapore or someplace in Malaysia who had come up and asked specifically if we were selling JTagulators or anything in that nature. So most everything kind of in that JTAG space was hot for a little bit. So anyhow, thank you so much. We'll talk to you next video, and stay tuned for that GreatFET. It's coming. All right. Take it easy, everyone. Have a good day.